let's go, Daddy.
What did Daddy
Say, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Call it mother's intuition. Toni Weatherall can't make it to every Kentucky home game. She lives in Oklahoma City, after all. But something told her she needed to be in Lexington the second week of December for her son, Brandon Garrison. As has become routine over the past year and a half, Weatherall and her grandson, 2-year-old Akarii, packed up and made the long trek from Oklahoma to Kentucky with no idea of the highs and lows to come. It started on Tuesday. About 12 minutes into Kentucky's game versus NC Central, Garrison caught a pass from Denzel Aberdeen at the top of the key. While spinning toward the basket, Garrison had the ball stripped by an NC Central defender who threw it ahead to a teammate, Kyrick Davis. Instead of sprinting after him, Garrison just jogged down the court as Davis slammed it home to bring NC Central within 8. There was nothing leisurely about Mark Pope's reaction. Pope quickly called a timeout and strode toward Garrison on the court, yelling for the junior big man to go sit down. When he did, Pope was in his face, a butt-chewing that everyone at home got to see as well as those at Rupp Arena. The SEC network showed the interaction coming in and out of the commercial break, but failed to capture the white-hot moment when Pope broke a clipboard in the huddle.
But then breaking the clipboard, I was like, whoa, now that was a bit extreme now. We have to kind of manage our emotions, our emotional intelligence, and just kind of take it a step back. But on the other hand, my son jogged down the court. So I can see where Pope's frustration stemmed from when that happened.
Garrison did not play the rest of the game. As Pope put it, he had broken one of his cardinal rules. Afterward, Weatherall didn't press her son too hard for details on what had happened or how he was feeling. She was just grateful that she, and especially Akarii, were there.
I always say things are done on God's timing, and I feel like that was the right timing, and I'm glad Akarii was there, to take his mind off of it. Akarii is his world. I mean, he is his everything. He's Akarii's superhero.
Brandon Garrison has known since he was 8 years old that he wanted to be a basketball player.
I said, you told me when you were 8 years old that you wanted to play basketball. And you said, Mommy, whenever I make it to the NBA, I'm going to buy you a house. And I was like, I don't want a house. I just want y'all to be happy. And I said, but you have to put that work in.
Garrison did, becoming a star player at Dell City High School, leading the school to the Oklahoma 5A state title in 2021 and 2023, and a runner-up finish in 2022. As a senior, he averaged a double-double and started every game save one. Garrison's coach took him out of the starting lineup for being late to practice, which led to his family and friends wondering what had happened as introductions took place and he was still on the bench. It was an embarrassing moment, but Garrison responded to it, leading Dell City to another state title, scoring 17 points and pulling down 16 rebounds in the championship game. He had plenty of individual accolades as well, winning every award in Oklahoma and being named to the Jordan Brand Classic game and the McDonald's All-American game. In turn, he had plenty of big-time Division I offers. Garrison chose to stay close to home, committing to Oklahoma State over Kansas, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and others. Just a few months after arriving in Stillwater, Garrison was thrown a curveball when he found out that his girlfriend was pregnant. She was due in October, the month before his freshman season officially tipped off. He was just 19 years old.
I really didn't tell my parents yet, just because it was a lot, I didn't know how to tell them. So I eventually, got out of that stage, let them know, and it was easier than what I thought. My mom, she was very open, and she told me, I should have been told her, obviously, but, I'm still young, a lot happening, and I just found out that news. But as soon as I told her, it was kind of, settled, chill, and she just helped me through the process.
Weatherall had her first child when she was 22 years old, so she knew some of what her son was going through.
Whenever I found out he was expecting, I said, regardless of what you expecting, I said, you still going to go to college, and you're going to pursue your dream. Point blank. I said, nothing's going to change. I said, but I will be here every step of the way.
When it was time for Akarii to come into the world, Garrison was at practice. His coach, Mike Boynton, pushed him out the door when he heard the news.
I rushed up there, I was able to be up there when he was born and stuff, so I was happy about that. But, it was just, crazy just knowing, like he's actually here now. I'm a dad, and it just hit a little different, just, being there, seeing it, knowing it's mine. So.
Life just got crazier as Garrison tried to adapt to being both a father and a Division I college basketball player. Nothing, however, prepares you for the diaper blowouts or the middle of the night feedings. Or, when you can't be there, the heartache and constant anxiety.
Because we'll have early practice and he's newborn, so he'll wake up out of nowhere, crying for milk or, need his diaper change or something. So it was a lot, but I kind of got used to it, when it kept happening. So I didn't try to let it, bother me, but for sure, the first couple times it was a lot. I was getting a little, irritated, but it's just part of fatherhood, I'll say.
Garrison and Akari's mother eventually found a balance. Stillwater and Oklahoma City are just an hour apart by car, a drive Garrison made often after practice to get some FaceTime with his son. On the court, he found his footing too, starting the final 29 games of the season and averaging 7.5 points and 5.2 rebounds per game. Mike Boynton was fired after Oklahoma State failed to make the NCAA tournament for the third year in a row, so Garrison entered the transfer portal. He had yet to make a decision when the changing of the guard happened at Kentucky. Pope immediately reached out, wasting no time in addressing what really matters.
He knew I had a kid and stuff, and that's the first thing we talked about. He told me he was going to be there for me. He brought him up first, so I didn't have to bring it up. So, that was just grateful to have a coach like that.
For a mom worried about her son navigating a fresh start with his own son to think about, Pope's approach touched Weatherall as well.
He was like, literally, I'm here. I've only been here for 2 hours. And just seeing him on Zoom, we only had a conversation of 5 minutes. But I have great intuition. And then whenever he was like, Brandon, I just want you here. I just want you here. And I just want to be able to be that mentor for you. That's one thing I was seeking out. Not what he can do as a coach, but what he can do, teach him values, hard work ethic as a man, as a father. And that set precedence over any other person that I spoke to.
So, Kentucky it was. A move that made sense from a basketball standpoint, but not a family one. Oklahoma City and Lexington are 12 and a half hours apart by car. There are no direct flights.
With Brandon, it kind of weighed on him a little bit because he wanted to see Akarii every day. And we had that conversation again. I said, remember we had this conversation before he was born that this is what the road is going to look like. I said, but we're going to do our best to make sure that you see your son. I said, but you know what? I said, we have to make sacrifices as adults, as parents. And I said, this is one sacrifice that you're going to look back on and be thankful for.
It was a sacrifice on both Garrison and Weatherall's parts. Weatherall and Akari's mother brought Akarii to Lexington whenever they could. Akarii met Pope after Kentucky's second game of the season versus Bucknell, when Garrison proudly showed the baby off after the 100-72 win. Big Blue Nation didn't get to meet Akarii for a few more months. In late February, Kentucky played Oklahoma and Norman. It was a homecoming for Otega Owe, a former Sooner, but also for Garrison, who had plenty of family and friends in the stands and motivation to beat his old rival. It was his best game of the season. Garrison finished with 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 3 steals in the 83-82 victory, riling up the Sooner fans so much that one threw a beer can at his head as he left the court. Akarii was in the stands, and at Pope's urging, Garrison brought him to the podium for the post-game press conference.
Actually, that was a Coach Pope idea, going back to him, so I thank him for that too. So after that big-time win at OU, obviously all my family was there because I'm from Oklahoma, so he told me to go get a car, and bring him to the press conference room. So after that, it was just just realizing, you got a coach that allows you to, have your kid around and, bring him around everything. So I thank Coach Pope for that.
The clip went viral, with Akarii decked out in a UK t-shirt, adorably weighing in with his thoughts and grabbing the microphone.
It was very cool, just because he was one, so he was kind of, he's starting to, trying to talk, so he was in the microphone just saying whatever, and the reporters was loving it, so it got out there to the internet and stuff, people was loving it, so it was a great moment for the both of us.
The moment served as a coming-out party of sorts for Garrison and Akarii. At Big Blue Madness this season, Garrison even brought Akarii on stage with him.
It was another idea from him just because it was his birthday, and I wasn't able to make it out there just because we were starting our season. We had a game coming up, so it was just one of the ideas, to have BBN, sing happy birthday to him, with every seat filled up in there. I feel like it would be a special moment, just to show him, that they sung happy birthday for his second birthday. So.
There was just one problem.
For sure, I should have put some headphones on him, but he kept taking them off, so I was like, he probably don't want them on. But, it was just a lot going on, he didn't know what was going on, so he was just shy in the moment, but I feel like, he'll grow up looking at that and laugh about it at the end of the day, so.
Behind the scenes, life is as close to normal as it can be for a 21-year-old, his mother, and his 2-year-old son. Akarii and Weatherall visit as much as possible, staying at Garrison's apartment.
I feel like them two got a special bond going on. He always loved to be around her. Actually, like when she's here, he rather sleep with her than me. So.
Oh, Akari's so lovable, and Brandon was lovable too. He's a mama's boy. Okay, they both are. Brandon is still a mama's boy, and everybody can tell.
Garrison, Weatherall, and Akarii like to be outside, frequenting Gatton Park behind Reparino. He's even by Garrison's side at the Joe Kraft Center, Pope encouraging his player to bring his son to practice and film sessions.
Yeah, they love him. They always ask, where he at. Like if we going somewhere to eat, they be like, why you didn't bring a car and stuff. So, just having, brothers like that, in my circle that really cares about him, it just means a lot for me.
A father of 4 girls, Pope is always ready with advice when needed, like when Akarii just won't stop crying.
He told me like with his daughters, he'll like, leave them in the crib and stuff, let them cry themselves to sleep, even though, it's a certain cry that when like, they need you, but like deep down inside, you got like, it hurts you, but you gotta let them, just do their own thing, and it's part of parenting. So.
The toughest moments are when Akarii and Weatherall leave.
Yeah, lots of FaceTime calls. I call him like every night or like every time I'm free, if I'm not doing anything for school, basketball, just talk to him and stuff. He's getting to the age to where he has a tablet, so he starts calling me and stuff. He knows how to call me, so I enjoy that.
But nothing takes the place of seeing your child in person, being able to hold him and him walk in and he see Brandon. Every time we are home, we come to Brandon's house. I said, there's Dada. He said, Dada? I said, go get Dada. The garage door is open. It's coming up. He was like, Dada? Dada, I miss you. Akarii is his everything. And so we make it work.
Making it work on the court has been a bigger challenge for Garrison this season. Last year, he leaned on Amari Williams for advice. When Williams graduated and went to the pros, Garrison was determined to follow in his footsteps as a leader.
When I first got here, I was asking Amari a lot of questions. He was teaching me a lot of things. Even if I didn't have questions, he was telling me stuff I needed to know. So just trying to, mimic that, what I got taught from Amari down to, Jaden and Malachi.
Garrison also took on Williams' role as starting center. With Quayton still rehabbing from ACL surgery and Malachi Marino learning the ropes of the college game, this was Garrison's opportunity to shine. Mark Pope made a point to constantly lift Garrison up in interviews, but there was no hiding the fact the big man was struggling, most notably in Kentucky's first 2 losses versus Louisville and Michigan State. Malachi Marino has started every game since.
And I asked him, I said, son, how did you feel about that? He said, Mama, I don't really care. He said, starting or not starting. He said, I know what I have to do, to get where I need to be. And I said, well, that's kind of fair. And I said, but you worked so hard, to get where you're at. And he was like, I'm not worried about that, Mama. He said, I know what I have to do. He said, whether if I'm starting or coming off the bench, I know what needs to be done to get where I want to be.
Those days are when the visits or FaceTimes with Akarii really come in handy.
I feel like when I have any, bad days or rough days, I say, it's always joyful just talking to him because he make my day brighter, just him being the kid he is, how little he is, and he's starting to talk now. So I just feel like that's my little getaway right there, just calling him or if he's around, just being with him.
Criticism of this team has steadily mounted over the past month, with Garrison one of the main players in the crosshairs of fans upset with Kentucky's rough start. Garrison told reporters that he took a break from social media, which didn't go unnoticed by his mother.
I'm on Instagram, and I noticed for a very long time that he was very quiet. I have 3 children, and I know when something's wrong with all of them. And so I'll text them and say, "You okay?" Doing a mental check-in.
When asked about benching Garrison in the press conference after the NC Central game, Mark Pope was terse, telling reporters that his team has some guys who don't know what it means to compete. Weatherall finally broached the subject with her son, who acknowledged his mistake.
I said, "Son, what happened?" He was like, "Ma, I'll be okay." I said, "Well, what did you learn from it?" He said, "I knew what I did what I did was the reason why I was set down." He said, "But I'll be fine." He said, "I just have to learn from it and go move forward." I said, "Exactly."
At the next practice, Garrison won every sprint, even outrunning the guards, which Pope praised him for in the press conference the day before the Indiana game. Against Indiana, Garrison helped the Cats come back from a 7-point halftime deficit. Kentucky trailed by 3 when he checked in at the 15-minute mark. Over the next 5.5 minutes, he dished an assist to Cam Williams for a fast break layup, rebounded and put back an Otega-Oweh miss, got a steal on Indiana's next possession, and blocked a shot. Kentucky led by 1 when Garrison checked out at the 9:30 mark. When he came back in a few minutes later, he and Oweh connected on the feel-good moment of the night, an alley-oop dunk that brought Rupp Arena to its feet.
So I'm left with just real pride. Like BG's mom should be really proud, and his inner circle should be really proud. But there were 100 reasons why BG could have gone in the corner and complained with a teammate, or called out the coaches, or hung up his jersey, or come and been a pouty guy in practice. There were 1,000 reasons why that could have been his reaction. But due to like what's inside him and how he wants to be a father example to his son, and how he wants to, make his mom proud, and how badly he wants to be successful in the process of him growing up to be hopefully a great man, which hopefully he can do. It'd be worth everything.
When it was his turn to talk to reporters, Garrison credited his mother for helping him through a tough week.
I feel like my mother helps me out with that a lot. She always encouraged me. If I have problems, I'll talk to her. She just, been my light. Ever since stuff been happening. But I give her all the kudos. She just been helping me through this all.
Weatherall hadn't heard that quote when we spoke.
What does it mean for you to hear your son say that stuff?
I didn't know he said that. I didn't know he said that because we want the best for our children. But man, whenever, he is the most criticized player on the team, he still takes it. He doesn't take it as a loss. He takes it as a lesson. And for that, I appreciate that.
Pope was the first to admit that his behavior toward Garrison during the NC Central game was out of character.
I wish I could tell you I know how every player is going to react to every confrontation or conversation I have with him, but you don't.
It just made me feel that what happened last Tuesday was a resemblance of somebody teaching Brandon to be held accountable for his actions.
Weatherall recorded the game at Garrison's apartment and watched it over and over again with Akarii. During one of the replays, she filmed her reaction for her son.
Now, this is a son that I know that can play basketball. I'm proud of you, son.
What I want is just
continue to be consistent.
Yes.
Be that leader.
So much of my
I'm in tears right now.
Physical impact.
Please continue to be like this.
Saturday was a good step toward being the player that Kentucky needs him to be, but with Jaden Quaintance's debut just around the corner, he needs to flourish in that role or it won't be his for long.
My advice to him is what I told him before I left this morning at 5:30. I said, you remain consistent, no distractions, and you put the work in. Accept coaching, but not criticism. And I said, what I mean by that is accept the words of good guidance and not people tearing you down.
That's a lesson Garrison can pass down to his son one day.
Yeah, just knowing that, I got to do it for somebody else other than me. So I feel like that's the biggest thing, the mindset I got to have, to provide for him and give him the things he wants, and teach him the ways.